Crazy, chaotic quality. TNA Wrestling crossed that line again with no surrender and put on one hell of a show that finished a few hours ago. Sometimes TNA makes you lost for words, and it's very rare that I am lost for words, but kind of lost for words of how good this show from TNA was. It was a banger show from TNA. Yeah, and this is the thing. This ain't even what you'd call a pay-per-view. This was just like one of those special shows they put on every so often. And if it's going to be like this in 2026, we are in for a treat. Right, enough about me, or enough about the show as a whole. Let's get into it. So there was two preliminary matches on the show. They were Sinner and Saint versus Brad Attitude and TW3. It was great to see Sinner and Saint back, by the way, in TNA. It's been a while, really, since AMC. We haven't really seen Sinner and Saint, and they're very, very underrated in many ways, and bright futures for Judas Sicarius and Travis Williams. That is for certain. And good little match this. I don't know much about Brad Attitude and TW3, but it was good. Put on a really, really good encounter and a great win. No surprise from Sinner and Saint picking up the victory in this one. So that was a good start. And then these were the preliminary matches, by the way. Would it be fair to mention that? And then a quick preliminary match, which was also on there. Eddie Edwards, Eddie Edwards, Frankie Kazarian was in action, the king of TNA, former heavyweight champion. And he pinned, excuse me, morning cup of coffee. Hmm, caramel latte, by the way. And he pinned Alan Angels, who I haven't seen in a while. And it's a shame that it wasn't long enough. It was only like 2 minutes, this one. Eddie Edwards, Frankie Kazarian beat him by a pinfall. Sorry, submission in this, but the match, yeah, it was just a little bit too short on this one. But it was just good to see Alan Angel's back. I don't know if he signed, what's going on with that, if it's just a one-shot thing. But Alan Angel's back in TNA was a great little surprise for me personally. Anyway, right. Let's let the craziness begin. And so those are the two pre-show matches. Again, two very good, solid pre-show matches on the card, and it kind of put you in a really good place, and it started absolutely crazy with the Knockouts Battle Royal. Now, the winner of this gets a shot at the TNA Knockouts Championship. Now, the people in this match were Rosemary, Tasha Steelz, Jada Stone, Harley Hudson, Myla Grace, Myla Moore, Victoria Crawford, Alania Black, Mara Sade, Tessa Blanchard, and Jodie Fret. The big surprise for me, because I was fully expecting on this one, Elena Black to pick up the victory, but I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. But it come down um, to Tessa Blanchard and Jodie Fret in this one. And to be honest, I thought it was going to be, when it come down to Tessa Blanchard and Jodie Fret, I thought, here we go, Tessa Blanchard. We're going to start that positioning her in that position. What I've been saying all along, that she's kind of going down here, and maybe that we're going to be seeing her in that world title picture later on. But no, Jodie Fret was the one that picked up the victory in this. Tessa Blanchard thought she had the match won, actually, funnily enough, because she had eliminated Myra Sade. But no, she didn't actually forgot that Jodie Fret was there, and she eliminates Tessa Blanchard, picking up the victory. So the order of the elimination, and I kind of spelled it out to you as I was saying about all the women in there. Rosemary was first eliminated, then Tasha Steelz, then Jada Stone, Harley Hudson, Myla Grace, Mia Moore, Victoria Crawford, it's early people, Alania Black, which I thought was going to win, Myra Sade, and then Tessa Blanchard. But that was a really solid start to the show. There were some funny moments in this, but Tessa Blanchard prematurely celebrating the victory was great. And then I think it was a surprising move to give Jodie Fret the shot, but I think it's a good one. Jodie Fret's a really good competitor in there, and I thought as you know, as much as I was thinking Tessa Blanchard was getting it, Jodie Fret's a real threat, shall we say, to the championship and the champion, who we'll get to very, very shortly. But yes, very, very good opening contest on TNA No Surrender. Speaking of open contest, this is one of the matches that I was looking forward to next, which was Channing Stacks Lorenzo defending the international championship against Trey Miguel. And there was Teddy Swims he come out of the ring to on this. I tell you what, though, it was pretty quick match in all things considered. I thought it may have gone a bit longer, but then we did have the knockouts battle royal. Um, it was a solid, solid battle between the two. Good back and forth. This, I don't know. It was quite a strange one. It went sort of longer than the battle royal, sorry, but this is sort of had like 11 minutes or so. So from a title match, you would expect sort of 15 to 20. However, delivered very, very well in this. Both men, as I said, great back and forth match. But is it a surprise? Is it not? Miguel hits a DDT on the floor, follows up with a drop kick, then hits shell shock, then hits lightning spiral to become the new TNA International Champion, beating Stacks. And you could tell that, there was a lot of emotion there at the end from Trey Miguel. He was tearing up at that, opportunity that he just won. Obviously, all things considered, we know the backstory here. And yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that. I really, really was. It took me massively by surprise in this. And but yeah, you could tell Trey Miguel with everything that's happened to him, for him to come out and win that match. It was very much an emotional roller coaster. Let's just say that. And the emotions may have let out a little bit for Trey Miguel, but congratulations to Trey Miguel, the new international champion. Very, very good. Um, at the end of this, sorry, as we start in the next match, AJ Francis comes out, and I'm thinking, what's he doing? He's trashing Jelly Roll, who's at ringside now. Jelly Roll, WWE, you saw him at SummerSlam last year. But AJ Francis joins the commentary, actually for the rest of the show, which I haven't got a problem with. But the next one on this, I didn't have a clue why. I didn't know this match was even happening. Mence Warner versus Mike Jackson. I have no clue where this match come from, to be quite honest with you. It was only like a 5 minute match here. Um, well, he was kind of a crowd favorite a little bit in this, Mike Jackson. Um, there were some good spots in this as well. But Vince Warner just decapitated him with a clothesline. This is a JBL-esque clothesline from Vince Warner, and a big time DDT gets the match done. It was, Jackson for his age. I mean, he was doing some stuff. Um, He's doing some crazy stuff, sorry, for his age. I have to give him credit there. But he gets brought up by Mence Warner at the end of the match, and they kind of shake their hands. Shake hands. Mence Warner, Steph Delander shaking the hands of Mike Jackson. That didn't, well, Francis wasn't happy for that. And he gets in the face of Steph Delander and blaming her for Mensa becoming st soft, and then left. Yeah. Um, but I wasn't, I don't know, I was quite surprised that we saw this match. I was interested to see where we're going with this one. AJ Francis and Mence Warner is not the kind of people that I would put sort of in a program. So it's an interesting way. Mence Warner, as we know, is well, he's a crazy son of a gun, absolute crazy guy. So to have Mence do this, maybe with AJ, I don't know. This could be something that we talk about in the weeks and months that I could just be absolutely blown away by. And to be honest, anything AJ Francis has done over the last 6 months to 6 to 12 months has been fantastic anyway. So who am I to really argue that this match isn't going to work, but it's just an interesting one. I wasn't sure about this AJ Francis Men's Water. Maybe it will grow on me. We'll find out. Obviously, TNA are taping some impacts tonight, so we'll find out about it a bit more about this. I would imagine during those television tapings. Right, World Tag Team Championship. It is the Elegance brand, Heather and M. Of course, against Indy Hartwell, Zaya Brookside. Obviously, Zaya Brookside, normal partner, Lei Ying Lee, is defending the Knockout Championship, so she obviously couldn't get into this match. This was a good match. It was chaotic, shenanigan filled, which you can kind of always get with the Elegance brand. You always get that, and it was yes, I always now call it the standard Elegance brand match. Um, I wouldn't say though that the Elegance brand did dominate the majority of this match. Zaya Brookside though is stand out. I mean, you expect good stuff from it, and Indy Hartwell. I don't mean that you don't expect good stuff from Zaya Brookside, but she kind of had that standout match. She put on a good show. Um, The end of this was the nip tuck on Indy Hartwell. But although Indy tried to get a foot on the rope, of course, Ash by Elegance helped them out by pushing it off. The referee never saw it. And like I said, the shenanigan filled Elegance brand match is what we normally get, and we do. But the surprise of this, Mickey James, the TNA Hall of Famer, comes running out. Ash cuts her off, and they brawl. And then the champions are chased off. But Mickey James, TNA, Hardcore Country, back in business, everybody. How about that? Mickey James. Is this a full-time return for Hardcore Country and TNA? I'm all here for it. I am all here for it, if that is going to happen, but chaotic match to say the least. Um, we had another BDE Eric Young match, which again was added late onto the card. Um, it was a good match. But I feel like this was just put together last minute. They had a match on Impact, and they didn't have a match. Sorry, they didn't have a match on Impact. They had a fight on Impact. Eric Young tried to get him to do the cleanse. He wouldn't do it, so Eric Young was power driving everybody inside, basically. But yeah, it was fun to watch. But I don't know if it needed to be here. I mean, it could have perhaps had come on, we could have waited a bit further. It felt like it was just added just for the sake of being added. We know BDE's like a social media star, so to followers and whatnot else. And Eric Young did score the big win, to be fair. He did hit the power driver. I was surprised that Eric Young won this one. I thought BDE may have got the victory, although I do feel, and I was coming back to this. I'm pretty sure I was saying this if I was saying this on the Impact review or not, or maybe no, it was a different review that I've done this week about when people come in or change character to have them keep losing. Eric Young hadn't really won a match really as the cleanse, so it was good to see Eric Young pick up a somewhat surprise victory, but I think a needed one. But was the match really needed here? I'm not too sure. I think that could have maybe been pushed down the line. Maybe we'll get a rematch at the Impact tapings or further down the line. Maybe we will. But yeah, still, Eric Young picks up a victory. The cleanse continues on this. Um, wow. TNA Knockouts Championship match is next. And I have to say, this was crazy. This was, I didn't know what to expect coming in. I haven't really seen Ariana Grace in a wrestling too much. I don't really watch NXT, to be quite honest. I don't get the time to watch NXT. So I hadn't really seen a lot of Ariana Grace. Stax was at ringside, of course, as he would be, but not a happy Stax because he had lost the championship. But this come out of nowhere for me as one of the matches of the night. And I just couldn't believe it. I generally couldn't believe how good this match was. This isn't a disrespect to any of them. I just Lei Yingli, I know enough around, and I know how good she is, and I knew that she could probably pull a good match out of everybody. But the surprising fact to me was just how good Ariana Grace actually is, and I think it's because the figure that she plays on NXT and the figure that she plays on TNA, you don't really get to see her in the ring a lot. But my goodness me, what a performance, Mariana Grace on this one. Great back and forth match as always, what you're going to get here. Um, he got hit, Stacks got hit by a big dive from Lei Ying Lee as well. And then that kind of momentary distraction allowed Ariana Grace to pull out the Cobra, which she took from her father during the cuddle that they had on TNA with Santina Morella. She then hits an inverted GTS, and in a stunning turn of events, she becomes the new Knockouts World Champion. Unbelievable. Awesome, awesome match this though. This now, because I was thinking if Ariana Grace wins, would it be more of a comedy thing? What was going to be the whole deal? Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Wow. It's congratulations as well to by the way to Ariana Grace, but uh, I didn't. I saw it coming. I didn't see it coming until perhaps Impact, where the Cobra got pulled out of Santino Morella's pocket. I thought perhaps then we would she would pick up the victory. But wow, what a match! What a match! We go backstage now, and there's going to be looking like there's going to be a new team going to be created. Rich Swann and BDE. Rich Swann said, "Look, we can play the game because he was playing some video games anyway. But BD is going to use me. He's going to be player two for a bit as Rich Swann is number one. I'm all for this. If they put those two together, even if it ends up Rich Swann eventually turning on BDE and then them two work in a program, absolutely fine with that. These two are absolutely crazy. So I'm looking forward to that. Whew. I mean, we go from that quality match to another absolutely brilliant match. And this is the Hardys and the Righteous against all the four. And the Righteous, down below in the special guests, you can see their interview they had with us this week. Um, this was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, you try to top that. I mean, you try to top the Knockouts Championship match. I don't know if they did, but they were close. But it just feels like when anyone faces or teams with the Hardys, everyone just elevates their game. The Hardys don't need to elevate their game. They're just legends in their own right, But it feels like everybody just ups it. This was awesome. And, it just, I'm trying to work out, I'd say, it's just mind-blowing how good this was. Don't forget, Matt and Jeff are 50 odd years old. And they're still doing the stuff that they're doing, which is incredible. The interesting thing that I was, the interesting thing about this is I was fully expecting the Righteous to turn on the Hardys in this. Um, they didn't. Not in this one anyway. It was chaotic. It was crazy, like I said at the start, right? Um, in the end, though, Ali threw Dutch out of the ring because most of them had been cleared away at this point. He hit a massive 450 splash on Matt Hardy and then stole the win. It was quite interesting. Jeff Hardy took out Agent Zero with a big dive during this as well. Well, as you can imagine, it's Jeff Hardy, right? Um, Funny enough, though, I did say to all the four, you got to leave a bit of Ali because he's got the guitar case casket match coming up this week. And funnily enough, at the end of this match, um, a bunch of Elijah impersonators come out and suddenly appear with a guitar casket. And Ali was trying to put one of them in it, but then the real Elijah comes in and takes it off. So a great segue into what's to come on TNA Wrestling. But whew, what a match this was. This was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Um, we go backstage again. Santino's banging on the door of Ariana Grace. But instead of that, he comes face to face with Daria Ray, who was in there, and those two are having another argument about who's in control of the company. Carlos, you're gonna have to sort these two out. They got to coexist or get rid of one. Sort it out, Carlos Silva. The way they ended this show, TNA, these last three matches alone were just absolutely breathtaking. And this one, Santana, Leon against Nick Nemeth and Eddie Edwards. This was just crazy. And it's crazy not because the match itself, it's crazy because of the stuff that happened. This was truly nuts. Absolutely nuts. Because Steve Macklin, who has been fired, who had a little bit of a to do with Santana, as we all know, comes from nowhere and starts attacking Santana, and they brawl through security into the crowd. And poor Leon is left on his own to fend for himself with Nemeth and Edwards, and he took a bit of a beating on this. However, the next thing you know, Moose's music hit. Moose comes out and he makes the save because the system had come out and they all started ambushing Leon Slater. And then the system and Moose were brawling to the back, and this leaves Slater and Nemeth one on one for a little bit. And finally, Leon ends heel kick and a swanton 450, wins this. But it was absolutely chaos. It was, I said this at the start, chaos, craziness, and quality, or whatever I said. These are the words to put together for No Surrender. It was balmy nuts. It really, really was. This was a great show. And it goes on that roller coaster of what you should get. And if these are just the special shows, and these are not even the proper PLEs, TNA in 2026 is gonna be absolutely crazy, and I think we all need to be watching it. Over here in the UK, TNA Plus, download it, subscribe, 9.99 a month gets you the lot. Obviously, over in America, AMC for your impacts. TNA Plus, of course, or Triller, whoever runs your pay-per-views over there for TNA. But wow, did they cross a chaotic line this this morning for me on No Surrender? You guys need to catch it, catch the replays, catch it whenever you can because it was a hell of a show. We'll be back next week with some more review shows, interviews, and everything else. But until then, everybody, cross the line, stay safe, and enjoy your week.